Guys, this is memories. You're really digging up some stuff right now. Hi Teen Vogue, I'm Dove Cameron, and today I'm going to be sharing some of my firsts. My first thought when I woke up this morning, probably like a non-verbal anger. Because I think I woke up to whenever someone rings the bell outside my house, we have a old-fashioned phone that rings upstairs and it's so loud. And it woke me up because my boyfriend was getting picked up to go to the airport and I was so mad. That's usually my first thought in the morning, is just like mad about being awake. I feel like I turn that around by like making sure I have 2 hours before I have to go anywhere, which never happens. But if I happen to be jet lagged and I wake up 2 hours early, I have time to like have my coffee and listen to music. Music usually does it for me. Journaling too, intentionally journaling. The first app I check when I wake up is, I have 2 alarm apps because I always sleep through my alarm, so that's the first one I check. I'm 100% a night owl. I like the morning though. And so if I had my druthers, I would only sleep for like 3 hours a night and be able to function on it because I like the night and the morning, and I resent that I have to choose. My first CD was Elvis' Greatest Hits. John the Devil in the Sky, like that was still my stuff. I love Elvis. I remember the look of it. It was gold with little white dots writing out the word Elvis. And I had a little portable Walkman, because I was still just a few years before this generation. I had a little portable Walkman and that little foam ear headphone, and I used to sit in the top bunk of my bed, and Elvis was my boyfriend. The first vacation I ever went on, that's hard because vacation, probably somewhere in India. I was always traveling. I was traveling at like the very first time that you can bring someone on a plane, I was on a plane. We went to like Kerala, which is a beachy part of India. Not like a big main city, but I honestly don't know. I feel like that's a question for my mom. I think my first word was dad. My mom's at home like, what? I mean, I feel like that's pretty basic. My sister's first word was flower, which I think is so much cooler, but also, it's sweet. I love my dad. My first best friend was a girl named Haley Burns. We met when we were in preschool and we were like inseparable. We like lived with each other. You know, it's like that time where you don't have memories, but we must have just like bonded so hard because in all of my childhood pictures, I'm always holding hands with this little girl, Haley. Yeah. First time I was on a film set as a lead role was this really early Disney Channel movie I did called Cloud 9. And I was 16 when we filmed it, which like, sounds like a normal age for Disney, but is really quite young to be a lead in anything. It was bizarre. I mean, it felt comfortable. Like, I've always felt like a very social person. I made so many friends. Like, it was such a bonding, like, summer campy experience. So yeah, I didn't really think much of it. I feel like I'm much more self-conscious now than I ever was in the beginning. Because now I'm like, oh, I don't know, something happens where you're like, I have to, like, keep this up. Versus, like, here I am, just doing my thing, you know? I should try to get back to that. Other people who know this better than me are gonna know this better. But I think the first ever carpet I attended was the Monsters University carpet. That sounds wrong to me, but maybe, could be. The first time I was recognized in public was at the Grove. And it was the day after my first red carpet, and it was this man who had followed me there and brought like a stack of glossies of pictures of me that he found on the internet for me to sign. To go from like being the day before, like totally shy, unknown, never imagining, you just like your whole life, you're just like normal. And then like all of a sudden this guy came up to me and was like, can you sign the, and I had like a weird reaction. I had like a full-blown panic attack. I was like, I'm seen, I'm too known. I don't want people knowing me, which is weird, but you don't know how it feels until you get there. And then I ran into a Nordstrom and I cried and I came out and he was gone. The first time I ever heard my voice in something on TV was, I did a song for Disney Channel called Future Sounds Like Us for a Shake It Up episode before I even started Liv and Maddie or Cloud 9. Disney picks girls, right? We all know this. And then they like sprinkle them into everything, and then they become like a channel entity. And that was like one of the first things they wanted. I think they wanted to see if I could sing. And so they gave me a song on somebody else's show, and then everything else happened. That was my very first song I ever professionally recorded. I remember Bella Thorne like reached out to me on Twitter or something, was like, love your song. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. And I heard it back, and I remember thinking like, is that what I sound like recorded? I sound so different. The first time I was ever embarrassed was in my house. Basically, my sister was doing this thing, I don't even know what this project was called, but they would take kids from very different parts of cities, like kids that would never mix together, kids that were maybe like of different backgrounds and of different walks of life, and then they would put them together and they would show them how similar they really were. It was this really cool project actually, but I was so little when it was happening, that's why I'm having a hard time describing it. But there was this gorgeous guy. He was like so tall, and I remember like he was so like cheeky, and he was one of the boys that came from the city, and we came from not the city. They were doing this project together, and I had such a big crush on him when I was like 5. My dad told the whole room, he was like, sorry, I have to go. My real name's Chloe, and he was like, I have to go get Chloe, like she won't get off of Jack. His name was Jack! His name was Jack. Jack, I love you. Wherever you are in the world, I still love you. And I'm sorry to my real life boyfriend that I have now. But I was so mad at my dad, I'll never forget. The first rap song I memorized all the words to, I feel like was Eminem's Shake That. And I feel like I burned it on a CD and I played it in the car. I remember my mom specifically turning around and being like, do you know what this means? And me being like, yes. Like so mad at her. I can't say the lyrics here because they're wildly inappropriate, but like I still know them. I just sang them all over again. They stay in there, man. I have no idea where I was finding these things when I was that age. This was right when, this is wild. I feel old all of a sudden. But this was right when iTunes was new. And like the concept of iTunes buying a song and burning it to a disc was like the newest, hottest technology. I was like 7? Why did I know all these rap songs? I don't know, but I've been rapping since I was tiny. I did have an AIM. I had an AOL email, which I remember picking when I was 7. It was randomremark777 at AOL.com. It's very much out of commission, so you can feel free to email it. I won't ever see it. My first job that I got paid for was working in my parents' warehouse. My parents, they had a wholesale jewelry company, so they would design the jewelry. The designs would be shipped to suppliers in India. And so they'd make it and then ship samples back, and then we'd mass produce it. And so I would work for like $5 every 2 hours. I'd like break down boxes or like tape boxes with a big like tape gun, which thinking back as a 7-year-old is probably pretty dangerous, but shout out to my parents for giving me my money. I needed it when I was 7. My first job in entertainment, I guess a job requires money, right? Oh, I played a background member of a local film in a Halloween costume, like in like a onesie and pigtails and like fake little freckles when I was like 9 or something, in a movie called A Relative Thing. I never would have counted that as my first job ever, but I think I got like $20 and it was like for my mom's friend. So I don't know, I've never seen it, but I guess that would be my first job. My first audition ever was for a Foster Farms commercial when I was 7. I've always wanted to be an actor, and I got an agent when I was in Seattle, and she started to send me out for commercials because she's like, this is part of it, you have to go out for commercials. And I still think I remember the lines. It was like, you're like sitting on a front porch. You can probably watch the commercial, I bet. I remember watching it and being like, that girl got it and I didn't. Oh, what you eating? Chicken. Where'd you get it from? The store. Those were my 2 lines, and I didn't get it, so. You know, it's funny, I feel like when you're little, I've just kind of like there are 3 cameras right now. And I probably was lighting like this. Like, I think I've always felt friendly towards a camera. I never felt like it was trying to do something bad or steal my soul. Like, I always was just kind of chill. I was chill with people looking at me. I was chill with adults. I just didn't feel like it was any different. It was like talking to people, and then there were cameras there. The first time I was really starstruck, I went to go see this one-woman play in like a local play in this place called Chimicum, which is like a few hours away from my hometown. There was a girl who did a one-woman play called My Name is Rachel Corey. And I think it was written by somebody local. And she did the whole play, like 3 hours by herself. And she was so phenomenal that I had to go up to her afterward and tell her how much I admired her when I was like 8 years old. And I got so nervous that I just burst into tears and tried to like hug her. And she was like, I don't know whose child this is. I don't really get starstruck by like actual celebrities. Because I feel like now once you know that it's just like not a thing, you're like, oh, I'm a celebrity. That's kind of boring. Like you're like, oh, we're all just the same. I mean, I wouldn't call myself that. But like, it's just once you're in Hollywood, I feel like it kind of dissolves. My first time on stage was as a red hot candy in The Nutcracker when I was 7. I think a lot happened when I was 7. I wanted to do theater. I had a lot of energy. I was very emotional. I hated soccer and ballet and whatever else my parents tried to get me involved in. I only wanted to do acting, and that was my very first thing. And I wanted to be the Rat King more than anything, but they gave it to an older girl and I was heartbroken. I got to wear a big red wig and I liked that. I do find stage more nerve-wracking now more than film and TV, because there is something, I know this sounds so weird because cameras are so invasive, and I will say if someone is like taking a photo of me without my permission, I have this weird reaction like it's super invasive because I am still really shy. But when I know I am about to be on camera, I'm comfortable. There's like a trust. I know that we're capturing something and that's what I'm here to do, and I feel relaxed. I don't know. My first crush was named Dane Wiesner, and I have mentioned him so much. I really hope he's seen any of them and he's laughing, but he was so dreamy. I remember thinking he looked like the lead singer of Green Day at the time, because you know how some boys have that permanent, like their dark eyelashes make them look like they have eyeliner? He had that when we were like really little, and he was so dreamy. He was also my first kiss, by the way, so it ended well. I knew what I wanted and I got it. My first celebrity crush, my first like, I saw something on the TV and I liked it was Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas. We'll call that my first celebrity crush. My first on-screen kiss was Luke Benward in Cloud 9. And they actually had us practice it in the audition room to see if we had chemistry. They were like, kiss. And it was like a bunch of executives and it was so scary. That was like one of the first times I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? Do you need a mint? And I was like, yeah, I'd love one. And they were like, we're joking, just kiss. And I was like, okay. And we did, we kissed. And they were like, there you have it. There are our leads. It was the weirdest like Twilight Zone thing. But he's such a, I love Luke. Luke's like my big brother forever. But yeah, we had to kiss a lot. It was like one of my first kisses ever. I think the first person I followed on Instagram must have been my best friend, Veronica, because she was the one who made me get Instagram in high school. She's like, this is gonna be the new thing. It's like the new Facebook. And I was like, no. And she was like, everybody has one and you're totally gonna get left behind if you don't get one. And so we got one because we went on vacation to Hawaii and she was like, you need a place to put all your photos. And I was like, fair enough. If I won $1 billion, the very first thing I would do with that money is give it to a number of charities of my choice. First of all, I would donate to the NRDC, because I'm a big environmental junkie. I would also donate to Planned Parenthood, because I'm a big Planned Parenthood advocate. I mean, I would attempt to give money to the rainforest. No joke. First thing I would do if I had the day off, I think I'd probably wake up really early and like be out in the world. I like to be up before everybody's up, and then I would probably go wherever the wind takes me. That's what I did the other day in London. My very first tattoo was a Capricorn sign when I was 14 on my hip. Very much not legally, but it always makes me laugh when people are like, you've changed so much, you used to be so cute and now you have all these tattoos, because I've always had tattoos, like long before I was ever on TV. You just never saw them. My first big splurge, I bought a wig in New York when I was 10, when my sister was looking for colleges. I saved up my money to buy a wig in New York, as though that's the only place you can get wigs. I was like, when we go to New York, I'm saving up my money and I'm buying a wig. It was big and curly, tiny little pin curls and blonde. Oh, I remember why. I wanted to be Claudia from Interview with the Vampire. That was my dream, was to be her. It didn't look like that. When I put it on, it was so ugly. Oh God. The first movie I ever saw, I would have been like pre-verbal status. Probably something really inappropriate for my age. My dad was always like, films are art and children will be adults one day. First role model was probably my dad or my mom, or my big sister. I feel like everybody's family is their first role model. My first pet, I was born and my family already had a cat named Kaze, but the first pet that we got was a cat named Maple. She's a little short-haired calico cat. This is weird, but I had a wooden ladder leading up to my room in my house that my parents built. There's like a little hole in my room that you'd climb up. And Maple, because it was a wooden ladder, she could climb it. Because you know how cats can climb trees? She could put her claws into the wood and she'd climb the ladder to come up and see me. How weird is that? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned a little about me, maybe more than you ever wanted to. Don't forget to subscribe to Teen Vogue. I love ya.